AJ, twice this year I've had hoses burst inside my house and my house flood. So what am I possibly doing that I'm attracting that? Like, I really don't want my furniture underwater for a third time.
So the question, with any event that happens to us through our law of attraction, we've got to actually look at the emotions that are created from the event. Because the emotions that are created from the event are usually highly connected to the causal emotion within us. So what do you feel when that event occurs?
Barry said wet behind the ears.
Wet behind the ears, yeah.
A huge amount of emotion.
So let yourself, rather than maybe listening them here,
Yep.
let yourself write down all the emotions you feel from that event. When you let yourself release those emotions and experience them properly, you'll find you won't cause that event anymore. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
So a lot of times what we do is we feel so stressed out by the event that we don't think to actually feel our emotions about the event. What we do instead is we rapidly go around cleaning up our house, right? Feeling all these emotions which we're trying to shove down while we're cleaning up our house, right? So I'm not saying don't clean up your house. I'm saying feel your emotions while you're doing it. So have a good bowl while you're doing it, and all these other emotions that come up, let yourself feel all of them. And then always try to ask yourself the question, and this is where prayer is really important. Pray to God for the answer as to what inside of you is a childhood emotion that causes you to feel this, whatever it is that's being created. There will always be some denied childhood emotion that created the event. And allow yourself to get there. But the fastest way to allow yourself to get there is to just feel the emotion in the present situation, right? Oftentimes what we do instead of doing that is, instead of feeling that emotion in the present situation, we try to fix that emotion in the present situation, right? We don't like our house looking dirty and untidy, so we fix that up. We want the plumber to come straight away, so we ring him up straight away and get him to do the work. And if he can't come straight away, we get angry with him. Don't you realise this is an emergency? And off we go with that. Do you know what I mean? And all the time what we're doing is just trying to fix things that are effects rather than deal with the underlying emotional reason inside of ourselves. Now, I've given you plenty of examples in the past where I've done that and all of a sudden everything around me's got fixed without me having to do anything physically for it. Does that make sense? And that will happen every single time you deal with the causal emotion. If you don't deal with the causal emotion, then you will always be dealing with the effects, every time. So allow yourself to make the list. So every time an event happens and you don't know what the cause is, make a list of what you feel about that. What do you feel about your house being flooded? What particular areas of your house got flooded? Even that's going to have an effect on, sometimes you find your most precious painting got wet and the other thing that you didn't really care for was dry. Right? We were just recently, bringing up a different situation, we were recently with a couple who own a sheep and cattle property down south. And they breed these stud bulls to give to other breeders. And the bull that's the best bull is always the bull who plays up. And they couldn't understand why. What's going on? Why is it only ever the bull that I want to be the best one, that is the best one, and I want to be the show bull, and I've got to put him aside because a show bull, as soon as it demonstrates any aggressiveness, it's automatically disqualified from a show. Right? So what's causing this particular bull to do these particular things? And we talked about all of the emotional interplay that was happening between the husband and wife and between the husband and one of his workers that was actually making the bull play up. And he's been experimenting, he's going to be experimenting with that now and working through his emotions about it. Because all the bull's doing is just reflecting his emotions. Right? You try this with your own cat, your own dog, it will happen all the time too. So look at every event inside that happens. If you don't know what the emotion is, then probably you're not feeling right at that moment, because usually when a trigger event occurs, if you're not in an emotion, you're in a denial state anyway. And then secondly, allow yourself to sit down and start writing down at least a little bit of what you think you feel. Start trying to dig a bit deeper into the emotions. And you'll find in this case that there'll be quite a list of emotions that you feel about it, particularly about it happening a second time. And let yourself feel those emotions now instead of trying to skip out of them and go back to fixing the problem.